So here at the launch of the Volkswagen ID Buzz, which has to be one of the most exciting EV releases of the year, and probably one of the most exciting car releases of the year for me, because I have a lot of nostalgia with this vehicle, with the original T1, with Kombi vans in general, but I think that's true for so many Australians. I thought, why not pick up the camera for a few minutes and give you guys a little bit of walk around of this short wheelbase model. 87,990, that's the price in Australia, but you can definitely option these things up. Some of the interior stuff costs quite a little bit, but I'm gonna give you guys a bit of a walk around now. And I think you'll agree that the design of this thing is spot on. They've absolutely nailed it. Look at the size of the Volkswagen emblem here. Matrix LED headlights here. They've basically added all the tech that you expect on a modern car, a modern EV particularly, onto these things. And most of it's standard, but there are a lot of options, including these 21-inch wheels. You get 19s as standard, two-tone paint, but it is a pretty epic looking thing, I reckon. Let me show you the back of the car, then we'll jump into the inside and I'll show you some of the tech at the front. So we've got another massive Volkswagen emblem here at the back. Electronic tailgate. And then even in the short wheelbase model, you get all this storage. It would have been nice to see some automatic seat retraction here, but you can pull up the third row with these straps. And then obviously in the back here, we've also got USB-C ports, cup holders, places to put your iPad or your phone. Got a 12-volt socket for fridges, even a little grocery hook. And of course, if you want more storage, you can jump to that orange one over there, which you can see in the distance. That is the long wheelbase, it's a 7-seater. For the charging flaps on the right-hand side of the back, which isn't too bad. You've got your DC port here as well, I'm sure you can pull out. 185 kilowatts on the DC port, which is good for a 5 to 80% in about 30 minutes. Look, it's not the fastest car to charge. We've actually waited a long time for this car in Australia, and some cars have moved forward a little bit quicker than this, I think, but it's a novelty car. It does have practicality, but at the end of the day, you're buying it because of its sort of statement looks more so than you are its cutting edge tech. But I reckon while we're back here, I'll shut the roof. I'm gonna jump into the third row. We'll start in the third row and see how that goes. Jump back here. Check the space. I'm gonna need two hands for this. Space back here in the third row is incredible. Look how much legroom I have. You get air vents back here, above your head, little coat hooks. And even with this panoramic glass roof, you got plenty of visibility, which is nice, so you don't get too motion sick back here. We'll jump into the second row. It's a two-hand job to get back into the second row. It's a pretty hefty seat, I have to say. Not sure about this fabric. There is an optional sequel fabric, which is nearly $7,000. Tray table, there we go. A little plasticky. Overall, I'm pretty impressed. There's a little button down here to shut the door. It's pretty quick. It's not too bad. You don't want to take too long at the school drop-off, so you need a quick door. I like this pull tab here. I like more coat hooks. I don't know if this is like a German thing. Well, they have so many coat hooks, I don't think I've ever used one, but fan speed control up here, little light, touch sensitive, clearly. More air vents. You get that massive panoramic glass roof. This car is obviously highly spec'd. You've got Harman Kardon audio here. But yeah, it's a really nice place to sit. I want to know what it's like to drive though, so we're going to do that soon. I'm just going to show you the front. Size of the front door. It's actually pretty lightweight, which is good. It's beeping at me, but step up. You're definitely in a van when you're driving an ID Buzz, but it doesn't have that cliff drop off in front of you, I'll show you. Sometimes in vans you're sitting right over the front wheels, but you're actually sitting behind the wheels in the ID Buzz. You won't be able to see down there. But if I didn't tell you this was a van, you might think I'm sitting in a Golf, to be honest. You have similar touchscreen, similar wheel, a nice little digital driver's display, which I actually kind of like the size of it. It's not too big, not too small. In terms of tech, 12.9-inch touchscreen, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, all the usual jazz. Those are your apps. Classic automotive journalist snap test by just swiping the screen and that tells you absolutely nothing. Heated seats in this car, and then you've got these touch sliders, which everyone sort of talked about. Every journalist on earth hates these things, but I actually don't mind them too much. This car stands out though for all this storage. Look at the passenger side here. You got a massive bin where you just got to shove your phone basically. Cup holders down here. This thing is the ID Buzz box. You can actually remove, so if I press that button, the whole thing comes out. Then you got to try and find the hooks to put it back in, but quite cool. There's the overall driving position, which is pretty good. I mentioned all the USB-C ports. Everything feels pretty high quality. I think this one's pretty highly specified. If I can find a lower spec car, I'd love to show you guys, but that's not how they do press launches, so I like it. It's a cool place to sit, but the only thing I haven't done is take it for a drive, so why don't we go and take it for a quick spin. So I've been driving the ID Buzz long wheelbase now for about 5 minutes. We're just on our way out of Newcastle, and I have to say, it's pretty darn good. In terms of around town, it's as comfortable as you would expect pretty much any EV to be. Effortless power. It's quite interesting though in this car because it is essentially a giant square or rectangular box with wheels at each corner, and it is quite challenging for car manufacturers to engineer out some of the stiffness that can be found in the batteries, because having a massive battery the length of the floor of the car does add a lot of stiffness, and it is a structural element of these cars. So then when you attach suspension to it and wheels, it can be quite hard to get the car to sort of work with the body of the car, work with the battery. A lot of the cheaper EVs on the market really struggle with it, but I have to say, Volkswagen, all things considered, this is a van at the end of the day, has done a pretty good job with it. I would like some of the materials in the cabin to be a little bit nicer if I was daily driving it. So you might want to think about factoring in that upgraded interior, but it is $6.5 grand, so it adds a massive price to this car, which is already not particularly cheap. Range so far, we've got the big battery in this one, so 90% range here indicated. So 90% battery indicated here, 500 kilometers of range. And we are so far using 29.2 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, so that's quite thirsty. And then in terms of power, you have more than enough on tap. There's 210 kilowatts of power in this long wheelbase. It's in the short base in the cargo. It's the same across the entire model lineup. It's nice to standardize it. And it's more than enough. Even this would be, at a guess, one of the heavy models, being the long wheelbase with the biggest battery. So the fact that it's effortless in this, it was effortless in the cargo. We were towing around 500 kilos of payload earlier in the day, and that was a breeze. It's amazing what having no gearbox and no internal combustion engine can do to a car. It can really make these cars drive a lot nicer than they maybe would have with an engine and gearbox, just because they're so linear, they're so smooth, the power's on tap as soon as you hit that accelerator pedal. If you want more, they are bringing out a ID Buzz GTX, which is sort of the GTI nameplate that's been given to the Volkswagen electric cars, but I don't see why you would need much more than this. It has plenty of up and go. If I had to critique one little thing, it would be there's not enough regenerative braking. So there is a B mode, so you can have D and then it'll just coast like a normal car, or you can flick it over into B mode, which I really like when you're driving around town, because every time you let your foot off the accelerator pedal, it brakes for you, or it regenerates using the electric motors, but it's just not quite strong enough. I've found this in general in Volkswagen Group cars, but I mean, including Audis, RS e-trons, everything like that. They're just never particularly strong on the regen. So we're just getting on to some better roads now, and I can give you a few impressions about how this thing drives down a scenic route. So far, to summarize the freeway, I averaged around 23.5, 23.7 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which is not amazing, but when you consider that this thing is essentially a box with a wheel, it's not too bad at all. It's kind of about what you'd get in your Audi Q8 e-trons, similar sort of situation, but they're dual motor setups. But yeah, I mean, it's not outstanding on the freeway, but what do you expect for a big box? Comfort-wise though, really good. On smoother tarmac, the cabin noise is quite good, but then when you get to that rougher sort of coarse chip tarmac, that's when the cabin noise starts to creep up a little bit. So it is a little bit finicky to find your drive modes. There is an eco mode, a comfort mode, sport, and an individual mode, which you can calibrate yourself. I'm trying to find a shortcut button in the car, but I can't find it. Let me know in the comments if you know where there's a shortcut button. But you basically have to go to the main screen, hit the car mode button, and then you can select it. So if we put it across into sport mode now, instantly the car wants to sort of roll forward a little bit more. The accelerator pedal's a little bit more spiky, a little bit more jabby, which is a really poor way to describe it, but it's just more there when you need it. Yeah, so just doing normal sort of B-road speeds on this stretch of road. And yeah, there's a little bit of body roll, but it's pretty well managed. You sort of tip the thing in and then it just kind of leans over a little bit and it's sort of set. And you don't need to provide too much further inputs once you've got it set. If the benchmark for me is a Lexus LM,
this is 75% of the way there, which is a big credit to this car because it's significantly better than a lot of other commercial vans that I've driven, or a lot of other vans in general, people movers, people carriers. It's a lot better. LM though, that's a $150,000 plus vehicle, so it's hard to compare it to that, but that is my most recent experience with a people mover. Really quite impressed. It's quite a fun car to drive, I have to say. See how it goes through here. Yeah, it just does it. Not pushing it to the limits by any means, we're on public roads, but I reckon you could have some fun driving this car, which can be said for a lot of rear-wheel drive cars, but it picks up speed really well. Very enjoyable car to drive.
All right, so that's it for the ID Buzz. Just a quick first impressions of the car. But you guys let me know what you think of it. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit all the good things. We're trying to do more of these videos, so if you like this video, let us know in the comments as well. ID Buzz, how cool is it?